see if we can switch out the mics. Is this one better? Ah, much better. So who's got a question for me? Yes, sir.
I used to travel.
Okay.
And every time I travel, unable to sleep on the first day.
On the first day.
In a strange bed.
In a strange bed.
Okay, thank you.
So his question was, he used to travel quite a bit, and he discovered that on his first day in your new destination, it was very difficult to maintain sleep. Or could you fall asleep, or you couldn't even fall asleep? So here's what's interesting is our bodies get very used to our environment. And so what it sounds like was going on was, number one, you might have been in a different time zone, so that could have a little bit of an effect. But number two, it turns out that our bodies get so used to the light, the sounds, the bed, the pillow, things like that, that when we're in a different place, our brain reacts very differently and says, no, 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 this isn't the place I'm supposed to be sleeping, and then you don't sleep. Of course, within 24 hours, you get so exhausted, you're just going to fall asleep anyway. So one of the things I have some of my patients do now to help with that is I have them bring their own pillow. Okay? There's a couple of reasons why. Number one, your own pillow is perfect for you in terms of neck strain, but also there's a smell to your pillow. You may not even realize it, but with your sweat and things like that, your brain recognizes it, and then that can actually be very helpful in helping you fall asleep. The other thing that you want to think about is making sure that your bedtime is as consistent as you possibly can be when you travel. Now, of course, I came over here from Los Angeles in the United States, 15 hours, 17-hour flight, 15 time zones away. So it was a little bit difficult for me at first, but I was able to kind of get on track fairly quickly. So that's definitely one of the things that you could do is take a look at the hours, keep a consistent bedtime, bring your own pillow. And the other thing I also recommend for people is earplugs, right? So when you show up in a different place, the sounds are very, very different. You could have a next door neighbor who snores. You could have, right? I mean, there's a lot of different things. So having some earplugs can also be pretty helpful. Other questions that we've got this morning? Yeah.
How many hours of sleep is considered a good sleep? Or how do we need like a minimum amount of hours of deep sleep?
Sure. Yep. So the question was, how many hours of sleep is a good minimum of sleep, right? I would say, generally speaking, anything below 6 hours is not going to be so great. And there's a couple of reasons why. When your body gets below 6 hours, so like 5.5 or so, your reaction time slows down, your thinking time, your cognition speed slows down, but there's also an upper level limit as well. The data would now show that if you sleep more than 10 hours or 9.5 hours a night, unless you're a kid, then it's actually a sign of either depression or narcolepsy. So there's a window of sleep for most humans, and it really falls between 6 and about 9 hours of sleep. Again, this is going to also depend upon if you're ill. So as you know, if you're fighting a cold, right, you'll sleep more because your body needs to heal. Remember, sleep is healing. That's really what sleep is it's a healing process for your body. So you don't want to miss out on it if you possibly can, but you also don't need too much of it either. So somewhere in that window of between 6 and 9 hours seems to be really what people need. Great question, though. Yep, one more question.
Let's say 5 hours of deep sleep comparing to 10 hours, 9 hours of light sleep. So which is a better kind of sleep?
So the question was, 5 hours of deep sleep versus 10 hours of light sleep, which is better? Right, interrupted sleep. I would argue that deep sleep is going to be better than interrupted sleep most of the time. So when you look at the way a sleep cycle works, you go from wake to stage 1, stage 2, stage 3 and 4, back to stage 2, and then into REM sleep. Believe it or not, your brain has to go through that exact pattern in order to get to REM sleep. So if after 20 minutes you go from wake to stage 1 to stage 2 and then you wake up, you got to start all over again. So having that deep, consistent sleep gets you into the deeper stages of sleep, which I would argue would be more healthy for your body. By the way, when you look at stages of sleep, stage 3, 4, what we call deep sleep, that's the physically restorative sleep. That's when your body heals the most. Stage REM or REM sleep, that is the stage where you have the most mental restoration. That's where you move information from your short-term memory to your long-term memory. And your brain creates an organizational substructure, like a filing system for information during REM sleep. So if you don't get that REM sleep, or dream sleep, as often we call it, then you don't think as quickly, you don't remember things. A typical example is when I have a patient come to see me, and they say, oh, I don't sleep very well, and I say, well, do you ever maybe lose your car keys? Do you ever walk into a room and can't remember why you're there? Or when you go to the store, you can't remember things on the list? That's usually a sign of REM sleep deprivation, or that last part of the evening. Good questions. Other questions?